God needs your yes. Yes, you, I'm talking to you. God needs your yes. You want him to work that miracle in your life 3 bad, but you ain't said yes. I was in the book of Matthew, specifically chapter 9. And in that chapter, Jesus was performing many miracles. I mean, like back to back to back. Now, as I was reading that, he highlighted something to me. So, many miracles, okay? That means he came across many different people. And regardless of the many different people and the different parts of their walk that they're in, regardless of that, they all had one thing in common. They all gave Jesus their yes. You see, before God puts his hands to something, he needs your yes. He needs you to come into agreement with what he wants to do. And him seeing where your head is at is important so that he can perform. Now, God is God. He can perform regardless of the circumstances. But he needs you to be aware of his power. He needs you to speak from a place of faith. He needs you to get in alignment with what he wants to do, with what he can do. It's already done, but you need to get in a place to where you're in alignment with it. Now, God is big on covenants. We know that. So you coming into agreement with it is a covenant. And when it comes to you making a covenant with God and he agrees to it with you, that cannot be broken. So he needs you to seal the deal on the matter. It reminds me of how we do contracts. So with the contract, you write it up, right? And you have to sign it in order for there to be action put behind it. The papers need to be signed in order for it to follow through. So in this case, God needs you to sign it. He needs you to sign the contract between you two, or you guys, or really you four, because God, Holy Spirit, Jesus, all that. Anyways, but not only does he need you to sign it, he needs you to seal it so that he can deliver it. You know that song, sign, seal, deliver? Yeah, that. So for example, he comes to you with a request, or sometimes you may come to him with request, with the desires of your heart, right? And so take your prayer as you going into prayer. Take your prayer as you guys writing up the contract and negotiating and figuring out the terms and the conditions. That's your time in prayer. And sometimes before the contract is even written up, you got to meet up with the people. You have to, kind of see where their head is at. Negotiation and all the extra stuff, right? So that reminds me of you praying. You're speaking to God. Y'all are going back and forth with it. He's telling you things and you have to, act on obedience. You have to do certain things in order to get to a place to come into agreement sometimes. Because you know how we be like, you sure you said that? And then sometimes it's a little easier to be obedient. But sometimes you got to talk to God about like, you sure you said that, God? Can I get a confirmation? So take that as the meetings that you have with God, okay, before the contract is initially signed. And so once you are clear that God is speaking these things to you, that's when you sign it. And that's when you come into agreement with him and you give him your yes. And I take the seal as not only you saying yes, but take that as, how you kind of lick the seal of the envelope. And as weird as it sounds, it's like your DNA and the envelope has come together in order to seal it. Without some sort of moisture coming onto that part of the envelope, it's not going to seal. And so this is like a representation of you and God coming together as one. Yes, you did say yes, but are you putting forth the action to show him that you have come into agreement with him? You need to speak it out of your mouth, but your actions need to speak as well. But they say actions speak louder than words, right? So when you do move out of obedience, that is you coming into agreement with him and you guys coming together as one on the matter. And so after it's sealed, God puts his stamp of approval on it and he can deliver it. Because if you can't deliver a letter or any mail at all without it being sealed. You're not going to deliver an envelope that's not sealed. I don't even think it's legal, but whatever. So we have to come together as one with God, come into agreement, come into covenant, and put forth the action so that he can deliver. And so in this time where you are signing and sealing it, that is you declaring your faith. That is you going before the matter and speaking through the authority of Jesus Christ on the matter so that he can come into agreement with you because he's already over there. He's omnipresent, but he's already over there on the matter. So you can't be back here in a state of no faith and God is up here where it's like, girl, it's already done. I'm just waiting on you to come into agreement with it and to do what I've told you to do regarding the matter. And so declare your faith. Sign and seal it. Come together as one with God on the matter and watch what happens. Don't be afraid to negotiate. Sometimes that is necessary because sometimes we be a little slow. All right? It's okay to get clarity because God is going to confirm it. It's okay to ask for clarity because God is going to confirm it. And if you feel that he's not speaking, maybe the silence is what you need in order to come to the answer. But regardless of the matter, God is not going to leave you. He's with you the whole time throughout the process. Just don't give up on him because he won't give up on you. He hasn't given up on you. But another thing I do want to say is when I'm talking about negotiating, I'm not saying you trying to like push your plans on a God and try to get him to go with what you want. No. Because then that's just manipulative and that's a no. But when I say negotiate, I mean going to him to understand what he requires of you. Because sometimes we can be in a position to where our flesh and what we desire kind of gets in the way of hearing God clearly or understanding what he requires of us. So when I say negotiating, I'm really talking about fully understanding what he requires of you and telling him about your shortcomings and what you may be worried about. So in those times, God can meet you and encourage you and give you tips and tools on how to overcome that. Because ultimately, for us to get to the point of sealing it with him and coming into agreement with him, like in as one, sometimes it requires us to, have to deal with the ugly. That's kind of the whole point. When God is stretching us and he's trying to stretch our faith, there is some things in us that he's trying to call to our attention to surrender to him so that he can restore it. To where you're in a position of not my will, but yours be done, Lord. And with the people who came to Jesus for the miracles in Matthew 9, although they were all in different walks of their faith walk, or what you want to call it, they all said yes and they all put forth an act of faith. For example, one of the people that he worked a miracle on was some man and his kid died. But the thing is, the father refused to settle. He refused to come into agreement with the death of his daughter. He refused to come into agreement with the spirit of death. And in an act of faith, he went to go meet Jesus, who is the way, the truth, and the life. And him going to find Jesus was an act of faith, despite what was behind him, despite what it looked like. Him going to find Jesus was him coming into agreement with life. He knew Jesus could do it. He just had to tap into that part of him. He had to declare. And I want to read off a few. It says right here in verse 18, as Jesus was saying this, the leader of a synagogue came and knelt before him. He said, my daughter has just died, he said, but you can bring her back to life again if you just come and lay your hand on her. So you see how he came up to Jesus and he came to let him know of what was going on. So whatever he was dealing with, he told him. But then he spoke in faith and he declared, but I know you can bring her back to life. And God, he wears many different hats, right? He has many different names that mean different things. So when you are going to God about your problems and you're praying on the matter, do not forget to call on his name. Do not forget to call on the name of which the capacity in which you need him in. Like you need him to be a healer. Tell him that I know you can heal, God, for you are a healer. You are a provider, so I know you can provide. You are a friend, so I know you can be a friend. You are a father, so I know you can be a father in this moment. So say yes. All right, y'all. I don't want this to be too long. I hope y'all have a great day. I hope y'all swell up, y'all well, and I hope y'all stay encouraged. And I love y'all. Love and blessings.